And here is the Writer's Almanac for Sunday. It's the 20th of February, 2022. It was on this day in 1943 that Norman Rockwell published the first of 4 wartime prints called The 4 Freedoms. He'd gotten the idea for the picture after he'd been to a recent town hall meeting in Vermont when one man stood up to explain his opposition to the town's plan to rebuild a school. And even though nobody at the meeting agreed with him, they all listened to him respectfully, and Rockwell realized that this was the meaning of freedom of speech. The 4 freedoms had been outlined by President Roosevelt in a speech to Congress, 1941. Freedom of speech, freedom of worship, freedom from fear, and the freedom from want. Rockwell illustrated them, took his rough illustrations down to Philadelphia to the Saturday Evening Post. The editor, Ben Hibbs, told Rockwell to stop everything else and paint them as covers, and Rockwell did. They were some of the most popular pictures that Norman Rockwell ever made. It's the birthday of Robert Altman, the filmmaker, born Kansas City, 1925. He was a co-pilot on a B-24 bomber during World War II. Came back to Kansas City, went to work for a film company that made industrial shorts, sold a movie to Hollywood in 1948, went into television. He was 45 years old when he made the movie MASH, which became his biggest hit. That was in 1970. Robert Altman, who, talking about his own career, said, "It's all just one film to me, just different chapters." It's the birthday of the playwright Russell Crouse, born Findlay, Ohio, 1893. He wrote the books for famous musicals, including The Sound of Music and Anything Goes. It's the birthday of Richard Matheson, Allendale, New Jersey, 1926, wrote for television shows The Twilight Zone, Star Trek, wrote horror and science fiction, wrote The Shrinking Man and I Am Legend. It's the birthday of the photographer Ansel Adams, born San Francisco, 1902. His parents gave him a Kodak Brownie camera when he was 14 years old, and they took him on a family trip to Yosemite. He was so taken with the mountains and the forest that he returned to the park every summer for the rest of his life, and his photographs of Yosemite and other wilderness areas would become familiar to millions of people, even people who had no idea who Ansel Adams was. Here's a poem for today, a poem by Hayden Saunier entitled Night Crawlers. Morning, children shriek the way to school, worms on the sidewalks, pale, pink bodies stretched blindly across concrete blacktop, hot sun blinking between trees. 3 minutes of direct exposure means they're toast. Leaping, wild children dance the dance of worm avoidance, grind worms underfoot, or peel up their sticky bodies, place them gently in grass. There's always a child who kills and only kills. There's always a child who saves and only saves. There's always a child hunkered down in the playground's corner, who establishes a hospital for worms, who gathers worms brought by the merciful, who places them tenderly in rows and cuts them carefully to pieces with a sharp wood chip. Night Crawlers, a poem by Hayden Saunier from her collection Tips for Domestic Travel, published by Black Lawrence Press and used by permission here on the Writer's Almanac. Be well, do good work, and keep in touch.